It's the Kink Consultant Podcast, where we're turning up the heat on all things kink and dating, relationships, and pop culture. So close the door, plug in your headphones, and let's get down to it. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of The Kink Consultant. I'm Amanda Dames, the Kink Consultant, and I am extremely excited and slightly intimidated to have this week's guest on. We have AGS, AGoodSpankin, and this is someone that I have known about for years, but only started talking to this year. So, welcome, AGS.
I'm all flustered over here after that introduction.
I was flustered knowing I was going to get to interview you today. Thank you so much for coming on. The place I first saw you was on SpankingTube.com. And for many of our listeners who are more general kinksters, they might not know that there is a highly specialized porn site called SpankingTube, where it's all things spanking. How did you get started making videos?
Well, before I say anything about that, let me just say that if you see my videos anywhere else but SpankingTube, someone has actually taken them. They've taken free videos from SpankingTube and put them somewhere else. I don't understand what they get out of that, but all of my videos are on SpankingTube.
Good to know. No, seriously, that is good to know, because did you have an exclusive with SpankingTube? Did you tell them you'd exclusively upload there, or you just chose to be loyal to one platform?
So I started posting my videos there because I knew of no other site that just caters to spanking. When I first started posting videos, it was a total accident when I met a vanilla girl out at a bar, and we started dating. And the very first night that I was with this vanilla girl, she was kind of being a little sassy. But at this time, she doesn't know that I'm into spanking because none of that has come up yet. But I said to her, if you keep talking like that, I'm going to give you a spanking. Immediately, she keeps talking like that. So I just took her by the arm, very jokingly, put her over my knee and spanked her like 10 times. So later on that week, she says, "Do you remember when you spanked me the other night?" And of course, in my head, I'm like, yes, absolutely. She said to me, "Do you think you could do it again?" Yeah, I can definitely do that. And she asked me if I could do it a little longer. I can oblige her with this. I'm welcoming these requests. So one thing led to another, and before you know it, she wants to see herself, like what it looks like with her getting a spanking. And I told her, I said, I can absolutely tell you what it looks like because I have the best seat in the house. She said, I'd like to see it. Now, I had a video camera that I never used. I had no reason to really ever use it. I used it like one time when I recorded me and a girlfriend at the time having sex just to see what we looked like. And now I wish I had that tape, but I don't. But anyway, with this girl, she wanted to see what she looked like on video. So I got the camera out and we recorded it. And then we watched it. And she really liked it. Now, these are my very first few videos I did with her. So they're not the greatest videos, but she's very cute. And I told her, people will probably want to see this video. And she's like, who? Who are the people that would want to see this video? And I said, there are people who are into spanking. And that's when I told her I was into spanking. Didn't freak her out. She totally accepted it. Now she wants us to post the video. So that's where SpankingTube comes in. And I posted the first video, totally thinking some people are going to love it and the rest are just going to lambaste me. I said I was prepared for all the negative comments because that's what the internet's all about. And it never happened. And I kept posting more videos. I posted a couple more with her. But then with those videos, more girls started contacting me and they wanted to be in videos. Now, no one's being paid here. It's just a couple of spankos getting together. Besides her, she was just a vanilla girl who kind of got into getting spanked after being with me for a week. But then everyone else after that, they were all actual spankos that would come to me. They wanted to be on video, or they just wanted to meet me and eventually wanted to do a video. That happened when I was 42 years old. That was like 2010. And here it is 2024, and it really hasn't slowed down. And I am thankful for that very first vanilla that wanted me to record a spanking with her.
Did this girl think that you were obliging her requests only?
I absolutely do think that she thought the first spanking was just a fun little thing that I thought of at the spur of the moment, where all it was my devious mind at work. She kind of picked it up from there and asked for each thing and more and more. I knew exactly how to give her what she wanted, so every time she asked for something, she got it and then just wanted more, and it was very quick. We went on to make like another spanking video, and she would come down occasionally just to get a spanking, and then eventually she met someone else, and I haven't talked to her in a long time, but I still remember her fondly.
When did you know you were into spanking?
My earliest recollection of knowing that I have this in me is definitely first grade. There was this girl named Cindy. I knew I wanted to spank Cindy. I didn't know why I wanted to spank Cindy. And I knew I liked Cindy's butt. Now, this was in first grade, where we're all stick figures in first grade. But for some strange reason, I really was attracted to Cindy's butt, and I knew I wanted to spank her. But I also knew that it wasn't for discipline. I didn't want to discipline her. I just wanted to spank her butt. Back then, I knew that I was not interested in really causing severe pain on someone. I just wanted to give them a nice, stinging, fun spanking.
When did you actually get to give your first spanking?
When I was 13, we had a family that lived down the road, and they had 2 daughters, and they would come up every once in a while and hang out with my parents, and they would bring their daughters. One was very young, and one was just like a year or 2 younger than me. So we were playing something downstairs, and of course, one thing led to another, and she needed a spanking. I gave her a spanking. That was probably the very first time where I thought I was giving someone kind of a spanking. It wasn't long. It was over her clothing, obviously. We're both, 13 and like 12 or 11. I gave her a short little spanking over my knee. But the very first one that I would call my first official Spanko-type spanking was when I was about 15 years old. And I had this friend, a bad girl. I was always drawn to the bad girls. And I'm like, I need to spank this girl. So little by little, we became friends. One day we decide we're going to skip school tomorrow. Now, she did it the traditional way, where you just skip school. I did it based on a little bit of a white lie. I said to my mother that they're testing tomorrow for 2 of the classes, because, right now I'm in high school. So I said for 2 classes, I don't know if it was the seniors and juniors, I said they're doing testing, but the rest of us are just going to be in study hall all day. So can I just stay home and do my homework here? And she trusted me, and she worked during the day. The second she drives down the road, my friend knew where the key was to get into my house. She comes into my house and comes into my bedroom, and I'm laying there in bed, and I guess I was still sleeping, and she comes up and smacks me on the butt to wake me up. I look and I see her, and my first reaction is to grab her by the arm, and she's wearing these fantastic, now remember, this was the 80s. She's wearing these fantastic, skin tight, so worn out that they're practically disintegrating Jordache jeans. And I pulled her over my knee and I smacked her butt. Pretty good spanking, about 15, 20 times. And she laughed her ass off. And we laughed about it, never ever once talking about it the rest of the day. And from that point on, I don't know how it came about, but pretty much every time I saw her, I was giving her a spanking and rubbing her butt. And this went on from the time I was 15 till I was about 24 years old.
With the same girl?
With the same girl, yet I also branched out and, started meeting more girls that I was spanking, including her sister, and they both knew about it.
This story, just next level.
We were all friends. I do remember when we were a little older, and they both told me that when we first met you, we thought you were gay. I'm like, what made you think I was gay? And they said, well, all you wanted to do was spank us. I go, okay, so there's a guy. He wants to spank 2 cute girls, and somehow out of that, 2 and 2 together makes gay? We laughed about it, but it was like the weirdest thing that I heard, that they thought because I wanted to spank 2 cute girls, you're gay, where I would think that, how about weird? Wouldn't weird be more of the word you're looking for than gay? I don't know.
I get it though, because I'm just going to slip in here that women are always taught men just want sex. All they want from you is sex. And then it creates this narrative that if they don't want sex from you, they're either not interested in you at all or gay, I guess.
That is true, because over the years, any girl that I've turned down in a relationship would always ask you, what are you, gay? That's pretty much the thing. Yeah, I don't want you, therefore I must be gay.
So you mentioned the word weird, and that is something I talked about it in my first episode. Weird was always a word that people associated with me. I was called weird all the time. Did you yourself feel weird, knowing that you wanted spanking and also knowing that wasn't like a mainstream thing to fantasize about?
100%. I thought I was the biggest weirdo. I would look at adult magazines with my friends and, they're all looking at everything the typical guy wants to see. I want the next page to be turned just so I could see a butt. And if there's not a butt on that page, I'm really not all that interested. I already know what everything else looks like. I just want to see that beautiful butt. I would never tell people, everyone knew growing up that I was a butt man, obviously, because how can you hide that? Guys talk. But I was never really all that much interested in anything else as far as the, female anatomy. I liked what they looked like, but I was definitely interested in the butt. And I knew in my head that it was totally different from everyone else. And that's not even talking about the spanking aspect. When you throw that in, I felt like the biggest outcast. I wondered if anyone was thinking about it. I couldn't tell, but I felt so weird thinking that that's what I wanted. And had one of those two girls, especially the very first one that I spanked when we skipped school, had she went around and told everyone what a weirdo I was, I probably would have denied this thing more than I tried to many, many times over my life.
As you said, this was the 80s. There was no internet back then. How did you discover, this is something other people are into?
Well, when I was younger, my mother used to get these cosmopolitan magazines. I also noticed that in the back, they would have some very interesting ads. And all of a sudden, when you're a spanko or you have any fetish out there, anybody who has a fetish knows what I'm talking about. If you think you hear something that goes along with your fetish, or you think you see something, your radar picks up. It's like you thought you heard someone say spanking and they could have just said spackle. You want to make sure that's what they said. I was looking through this magazine, and out of the corner of my eye, I wasn't even looking at the ad. I saw a woman being spanked. So all of a sudden, my whole head probably jerked at the speed of a UFO. And I look right at this ad and I'm like, Shadow Lane, what is this? And it was an ad for videos. So I think it was send $3 and you could get this brochure about the videos that they have. And I'm thinking, I need to do this. So back then it wasn't easy. It wasn't like it is now. You have to get a stamp. You have to get an envelope. And when you ask your parents for a stamp, because I didn't know where to get stamps back here. I never got stamps, but I needed to get stamps. And, when you ask someone for a stamp, it's like, oh, what are you going to do? I didn't mail a lot of stuff back then. So I mailed it out, and I got this pamphlet with all these descriptions of videos and pictures. And that alone blew my mind. And then I realized I can have videos. So I started buying videos. Again, the rest is really just history. I bought, and videos were not cheap back then. Their videos were very reasonably priced. But if you went to a porn store, I remember paying up to $75 for a spanking video.
In the 80s?
Yeah. So I would go to these porn stores and, walk in like I'm a creeper. I'm a weirdo. I'm going right to the Spanko section and would pick out a video 2, sometimes 3. And I would pay upwards of $75 for some of these videos, and I would bring them home and wear them out. And many of those videos over the years I have thrown out because, we would deny our Spanko-ism and just try to erase it from our life. And little by little, that would happen. It would be like I'd be okay for a month or two. And then it's like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. I'd wrap them all up into like a paper bag. I'd bring them to a job site because I worked construction, and I would just toss my magazines and my videos into the dumpster, never to be seen again. And 2 weeks later, I'd start all over.
Was there a specific age where you were like, nope, this is just me. I'm accepting it about myself and I'm quitting?
I don't know when that actually happened because I didn't even start making my videos till I was 42. And up until then, all I spanked was vanilla girls that I just, I was dating them and I got them into spanking, and they all ended up kind of liking it, and they loved the butt massages that I would give during and after the spankings. So that really worked out for me. And I kind of realized at a young age that if you're just nice to people and don't treat it like you're a creepy dude, or that you must do this and this is what I have to do to you, usually you could get what you want as long as you're kind of just nice about it.
I think that works with spanking, but there's got to be some women who just were like, no.
Very rarely did I run into someone who was an absolute no, because I would always introduce it in a fun way, like a threat. If you do that again, if you say that again. And it was always a fun threat, and they already like me. We're already in the stage where they like me, they want to be with me, and I'm treating this as a joke. And they would always push it that one step further. And of course, I'm not going to throw them over my knee and just beat the hell out of them, because that's going to scare the hell out of them. So I'm going to start it out with a fun little 10 swat spanking and laugh about it. And then maybe next time, if they don't ask for one, we're going to get in another little scenario, because back then, relationships, even now, it's all about teasing and having fun. That just works right into, Spanko's appetite, because if someone's teasing you, that is a perfect excuse for a fun little spanking.
That is great advice of how to introduce it, because you're not like bringing this up on the first date. Doesn't even sound like you're bringing it up on the third date. You're waiting to be in a relationship.
Well, that's not entirely true either, because that vanilla was on like the very first night we actually went out on a real date. And you just got to feel the person out. Everyone's nervous on a first date, but if you're having a good time and you see that little opportunity, but once you get that opportunity, you also can't go right into total spanko mode, because this person is not a spanko. They're not going to be receptive to a 20-minute long spanking.
Yeah.
You give them 10 nice little swats, and now you put that little bug in their ear. They thought it was fun. We had a good time, and it's a little sexy. Then you work it up, and eventually now you kind of got to tell them, I'm a spanko. This is what I do. And a lot of the ones that I have gotten to that point with consider it a challenge to take a harder spanking. Now they want to try and implement. And it's basically you go along with, I'm happy doing what I'm doing, but I am more than happy with them wanting to push it a little further.
Do you think you can turn somebody into a spanko? Or do you think
Absolutely.
You do?
I think you could turn someone in to appreciating a spanking, just like I think that if you are on the other end of the spanking, because there's two ends of this thing, which makes it work perfectly. But if you are the one being spanked, you could also turn someone into someone who appreciates giving a spanking. But you'll never turn someone into a true spanko, because they'll never know what we actually feel or what we have felt our entire lives about this whole thing.
What do you feel about the whole thing? Like, what is it exactly that they won't ever know?
I don't think any spanko could truly explain it, but this has been consuming us for our entire lives. Back when we thought we were big weirdos. Nothing I did could make it go away. All you thought about was giving someone a spanking. That goes for all spankos. All of us were pretty much the same way. No matter what type of spanking you want to give, that consumed your life. These people, that never happened to them. So the fever that you build up when you're going to give a spanking, especially when you're young and doing this, now it's not as exciting all the time as it used to be. But man, when I was younger and I knew I was going to give a spanking, it was a better feeling than vanilla sex to me. I would give up vanilla sex in a second if I had the choice between that or spanking.
And that is the age-old question among spankos, I think. is like,
Right.
like every time I go to a spanking party, it's like, would you give up sex or spankings? And I really can't answer that. I think it's a completely unfair question, but you have an answer, and yours is you would give up sex for spanking?
I would give up sex as long as I didn't have to give up self-gratification.
With that stipulation, it does make me think a little bit more about it. I'm like, okay, maybe I could give up sex.
If you're giving up spanking, now all of a sudden it's just going to consume you. Like if I don't give someone a spanking after a couple weeks, you start to get a little itchy, you know? And you start to feel
Yes.
that. You start to feel like this hand needs to at least touch a butt. You know, regular vanilla sex is not going to scratch that itch.
It never does, unless
No.
you're thinking about it. Okay, so lucky for you, your videos have helped you, I'm sure, attract many butts that want to be spanked.
I give all the credit to the girls because without these girls coming to visit me, there are no videos. I have definitely attracted some really pretty, cute, fantastic girls. I have been really lucky because a lot of them are still friends. It's amazing the friends that I've made out of this, but with all these girls contacting me, I think it just gives me a little more, which it's kind of selfish, but it gives me a little more credibility that no one says anything negative. If there's no negative out there about you, then other girls want to come see you. And I've been very fortunate to have a lot of girls come, and a lot of girls come for their first time, which is, you know, that's kind of exciting that I don't search out new young girls that are just coming into spanking, but I appreciate the fact that they trust me enough to come to me for their first time, and I want to give them an absolute fantastic first experience. So that way, you know, I always tell them that, you know, when you go out there and you want to find other people, you still have to be safe, but at least you know now that you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. You move at your own pace, and there is a happy medium to spanking. You know, if someone is hardcore disciplinary spanko and you are not, you're more like what I give, then if that guy can't meet you in the middle, this is not the guy you want to meet. You have to negotiate. I don't really particularly love the brattiness in girls, which a lot of people do, and a lot of girls really like that brattiness too. I'm not a big brat spanking fan, but I don't knock it because that's their thing. It's just not for me. So if you see the kind of spanking that I like to give, we can meet in the middle. You know, you could be a little bratty. I could come down from whatever you don't want that goes along with my spanking, and we meet in the middle and we have a good time. If you can't do that, then there's no sense in meeting. And if someone's not willing to even budge from what they do, then I would never want to meet that person.
When I first discovered your videos, I binged them. I probably didn't leave my room for 2 days once I found you on SpankTube. And I would highly encourage people to go check out AGoodSpankin on SpankTube. Taking a step back, when you started posting these videos, right? I know you didn't know how popular they were going to become, but were you a little bit nervous that you had presumably a career outside of these spanking videos that meant you could maybe be seen or someone might recognize your very distinctive voice?
I definitely was a little nervous, but we always did the no face thing for me and the Spanko. Although some Spankos have shown their face, they're obviously not as afraid of it. They're obviously not afraid of that as I am, but I'm not really afraid of it anymore. It's kind of just my thing that I'm a headless Spanko. Like I told you before, when I first started posting videos, I immediately thought, I am going to get lambasted by people. They're absolutely going to hate them, but some people are going to like them. I didn't realize so many people were going to like them. I'm thankful that they do because it brought me all these other girls. But if it wasn't for that first girl asking me to scold her on video, which was just turned out to be a, calm, firm lecture, I probably would have never developed that kind of style because I never did it before. I was definitely worried that some people might find out about me, especially the guys at the fire department, because I was a firefighter for my career. And when they find something about you, they do not let you forget it. But I did have one advantage to that. Yes. Do I say some weird things in my videos? Absolutely, because you're basically talking like you're giving a parental style discipline thing to an adult. So you are going to say those weird things that we remember as kids seeing on movies and stuff like that. They're going to make fun of me about those things. But you know what they're not going to make fun of me about?
I'm going to make a guess that it's all the cute girls that are coming to you proactively. Is that?
Absolutely. They're going to see these girls and they're going to be like, how the hell are you doing this? I worked in the fire department for 21 years, and I was a huge ball buster. So I could only surmise that if they found out about this, I would get it like tenfold. But I have very good comebacks. So it's very rare that someone ever gets the best of me in a ball busting competition.
To the shock of nobody. Okay.
Plus, I like to talk, obviously, and people out there right now are witnessing this firsthand.
You do like to talk, and that's why your podcast is so fun to listen to. Your videos were always fun to watch. What made you jump from making those videos to podcasting?
I thought that Spankos out there would appreciate a fun show to listen to. So I really enjoyed podcasts when I discovered them during COVID. I said, you know what? I can make a kind of entertaining one for the spanking community, but I thought it was worth the time to try to make one that people are going to enjoy. You know, I just did it, and the first 2 episodes were me talking and just telling how I got started and stuff. And then I started bringing on guests, and I was having a good time interviewing these people, and the final results were really fun conversations. And again, I give credit to the people that are giving these answers because they have been awesome. There have been some great guests that whenever I listen to it after it's over, after I edit the whole thing, it's very entertaining. They're funny. They have great information, fantastic guests. And that goes along with the girls in some of the girls on my podcast were the girls in my videos. I got to say, without them, I am, and to some, I probably am nothing. When I'm listening to that podcast and these guests have me laughing or like in awe of their answer, or sometimes I'll sit there and I'll be like, that's it. That's the one. Even in a video, I'll be like, that thing that girl just said, people are going to love. That's been happening in the podcast and it happens in the videos. Again, without these guests and the things that they say, I am definitely not anywhere that I am, wherever that is.
The thing I love about the podcast is we're all into this same thing. As simple as it sounds, we're into spanking, but the answers and the complexities, the nuances of the interest are extremely interesting because everyone has their own little spin on it, their own little take, their own little thing that makes it good for them. And you kind of explore those things and get into sometimes the psychology, but also just sort of what it is for each person that's enjoyable. And that's what I love listening to. The little quirks within the kinks.
I've had a lot of people that have messaged me and said that they have learned a lot from the podcast and it's helped them. Some have actually created FetLife profiles and met like the loves of their lives. They said that if they had not heard me talking about FetLife, encouraging people to go there and branch out and put themselves out there, they would not have done this. And people have met other Spankos and they're in these relationships and probably branching out and meeting more people. So if that's what my podcast is doing for some, that's great. If it's just entertaining for some, that's great. If people want to listen just to ridicule me, that's also great. I don't care why you're listening, but people are listening and the numbers keep growing and I can't believe that they actually do.
And I'm so glad they are growing, and I love that people have found each other because they've listened to your podcast, gotten brave enough to go out and make a FetLife account or actually put themselves out there to meet someone, because it's not always easy when you have a fetish like spanking. I know you have set it up so nicely and explained how easily you've introduced it, but for a lot of people, it is not that simple to bring up. I especially find that's true for the spankee, both men and women. Bringing it up to someone and asking to be spanked can be really intimidating for them, because you're putting yourself out there, and it's hard to put yourself out there in a fun way and get what you want, I think.
I absolutely agree with it. We could spend an entire week on just this topic, but I think that women have it easier, but I don't think they have it easy, because if you're a woman and you want a guy to smack your butt, I don't see how that's going to be a big problem, but it is for some guys, because we've been taught our whole lives not to hit women. But this girl is sitting here, willingly wants to bend over your lap, bend over, whatever she wants to do, and she wants you to smack her butt. And you could start it out lightly, and maybe even that's all you want to do. I don't understand why someone wouldn't just oblige the woman to do it. I think guys, if they are the spankee, I think they have taller mountain to climb, because now you're a man wanting to be submissive, where obviously when we're raised, maybe not so much nowadays, but back when I was younger, when you're a man, you are dominant. You are not submissive. You want these guys, and there's all different aspects of this where, you could act like you're a younger guy, and now you're being even more submissive. I think it's harder for a woman to accept a guy wanting to be spanked than a guy accepting a woman wanting to be spanked. But I still think they both have challenges, although some get really, really lucky. I think some spankies never had a problem, and I've talked to plenty of those girls, but I've also talked to so many that even still today, they just can't. They either can't bring themselves to do it, or they could never find a person to do it. So I can't say that I don't understand it, because I'm not in their mind. I don't know what they're thinking, but I could see why it's a problem for both. But I really do think that women do have an advantage when it comes to being the spanky.
I agree, because it does fit into traditional gender roles and gender norms. And I've found, I obviously go to a lot of kink parties, I go to spanking parties, and I talk to a lot of spankos and kinksters and people into heavier BDSM. I do find in the spanko community, it just feels like there are more men who are tops and women who are bottoms. And obviously I haven't done the research, I haven't done an official study, but I'm always shocked at how you walk into a room full of spankos, a lot of the men are going to be tops or switches, and a lot of the women are going to be just bottoms. So that's my anecdotal evidence of what I've seen, and I think that is why spanking might be a little bit different than other parts of BDSM.
I think that you'd be surprised at how many guys nowadays want to be spanked. If you follow the spanko community, there are a lot of guys out there who like to be spanked. And there's a lot of guys and women really that want to do both. But then there are other factions of people, like there are women who would never want to be spanked by a guy who also gets spanked. So, for a very small community, there are a lot of different aspects that will turn you off of someone else that's into the same exact thing you're into.
And it is such a small community. Or maybe we just feel like it's small, because obviously you've been able to help people discover their spanking related interests. So maybe it's just the hardcore spankos is a small community, but there are a lot of spanko friendly people out there.
Oh, I think there's a ton of spanko friendly people, and not just the people that get a smack or two during sex.
Do you have any stalkers or really obsessed people who contact you a lot?
Yeah, I do have a lot of people that contact me very often, but I've had a couple of interesting stalkers. One that wasn't really a stalker, but more of a catfish that lasted about a whole year, talked to her on the phone and everything. And every time it came time to meet, she always had something that was going on. Finally, I was at work. As I said, I was a firefighter, and I was looking at Maxim magazine. And I'm looking through Maxim magazine, and I come to this one section about this Icelandic fitness model. And I'm like, wait a second. That picture is a picture that this woman sent to me.
No.
So I knew she sent me that picture. So what I did was I got another picture, and I went online and I got this picture and I sent it to her, and I said, remember this picture you sent me? And she goes, oh yeah, I remember that. And then I wrote back to her, I said, well, you did not send me this one. You sent me this one. I said, this is the one I got out of Maxim magazine. I said, when did you become an Icelandic fitness model? Never heard from her again. Never, ever heard from her again. But she trapped me for a whole year. I mean, we talked on the phone. I think I know personal things about her and her family. I don't want to get into the personal things that I know, but I believe that I actually know kind of who this person is, but I really don't know what they look like. I have no idea what was the truth, what wasn't the truth, but it went on for a full year. But the worst one that I had was this older woman. I've been in, since I started doing these videos and everything, I was in my 40s and now I'm in my 50s. And this happened probably late 40s, early 50s. And this woman kept asking me for a picture, wants to see a picture, wants my real name, all this stuff. I told her, I said, I don't know that's going to help knowing my real name. I said, we're not going to meet. She's from another country. Like, we're not going to meet. I don't want to know your name. You know, that's your own. That's,
yeah.
Keep that private. I don't need to know your name. That's not going to do anything for me. So she kept asking for this stuff. And I guess that for some people who are super sleuths, I give a lot of information out in my videos and even more so in my podcast. So with the information that I gave out, she found out what fire department I worked for.
Oh my
She found out
God.
where my parents lived.
What?
After she thought I was someone else. My birthday was coming up. She obviously knew my birthday because I must have said it. I say I'm a Scorpio, so I must have said it on my podcast or in my video. I'm not really sure. But she found out when my birthday was, and she knew my birthday was coming up, so she wanted to send me a birthday card. And she said, I think you're this guy. And she sent a picture of this guy who was a firefighter in another town in the state that I worked in.
Okay, so she sends this picture and you're like, it's not me.
Yeah.
You just say, that's not me.
She sent it to me in an email. And I said, that guy is absolutely not me. Do not bother him. Do not involve him in this. Don't send him anything. Because I'm thinking, this is going to get really weird. If she sends this guy something, he's going to be like, what is going on here? And I said, do not get in this man's life. I do not know him. It is not his birthday as far as I know. And so 2 weeks later, when it came time for my birthday, so she must have narrowed this down and I must have helped her because saying this isn't him, she now narrowed it down. I get a card in my mail. And the whole time I'm telling her the questions you're asking, the information you're looking for, it bothers me a little. It's starting to get a little creepy. I said, I wish you would stop doing it. Of course, she didn't. And for some strange reason, she didn't see how it was bad. And, if you run into one of these people, these types of people in the community, do not meet this person. Anyway, so I get a card in my mail, a birthday card. I don't know if I said anything or if she's the one that brought it up first, but I definitely said, listen, this is starting to really weird me out. I wish you would stop doing what you're doing. She did a little, not totally. I haven't heard from her in a while. It really is a creepy thing to do to someone. If I've ever been a creep to anyone, I totally apologize. I don't think anyone can say that I have been, but it really is a little weird when someone's telling you not to and you continue to do it. We're not meeting in the middle here. I told you this is creepy. You're not getting my side of it.
A lot of people ask me the question, how do you vet the people you're about to play with? So you have bottoms contacting you. How do you make sure they're safe and not totally insane? Like, how do you make yourself feel comfortable? What questions do you ask? How do you feel comfortable inviting them into your home?
It's basically, I find out that they are who they say they are. I always have to do that first because I'm always thinking someone's fishing for information. And, I don't want to give someone my address and then have them not even be the person they said they were and throw my address or phone number all over the internet for all to see, or my picture or anything. I don't need all this stuff out there. So I talk to them a little bit. Emails have a lot to do with it. If you could formulate a good email and you have a good conversation where you're not just constantly talking about spanking and you're just really generally talking like a normal person, getting to know someone. I want to get to know who you are, and I basically want to get to know who you are as a person, not as a spanko. Basically watch my videos and listen to my podcast. The person on the podcast, that's who I am. The person in the videos, that's who I can be. Or I could just give you a fun spanking because that's what I love doing. But I'm not anything more than what you've seen or heard. So don't come looking for something you're not. going to find and that I'm not. So I just, just talking to people, and if they can understand that and they have a good conversation and a good sense of humor, then we probably move to a phone call. Once I get to know who they are, that's when I will give them my information. So I consider myself very trustworthy, and that's all I'm looking for in someone else. And if I sense that they're not, I pretty much will kind of just fade away from the conversation, and it just kind of falls into Spanko Neverland.
And that is the back burner of never going to happen.
Yeah, because I'm looking for what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for stuff that am not interested in doing, and I'm not interested in meeting someone that I don't feel totally comfortable with.
There's also no money being exchanged here. It's literally just two people of their own free will choosing to hang out and spank or be spanked. So you have to have a good time.
Yeah, I don't make a dime off my videos. I make barely anything I'm actually making something off of my podcast just from the commercials that they put on that I don't pick. They put on whatever they want. And I do make something, but, it's nothing. It's nothing compared to what people are making from their spanking video. And I never even realized that people who post to like Pornhub were making money. I don't know why I never realized that until, maybe 5 years ago. I just thought that people were just posting their videos out of the kindness of their hearts.
And some people are, obviously. You were doing it. That's what I do with my TikTok and Instagram videos. I do it because I'm like, I want to get this information out there. You wanted to share really good videos. But I'm also a coach, and there's some ulterior motive. You don't even sell long-form videos.
No, and there is some stress. People put me under a lot of stress because when I first started making these videos, I was thinking I was going to get ridiculed and I would never make another video. And then all of a sudden, people wanted to see my videos. Now I feel I have to put out a good product. and if I put out a video, I'm thinking, oh man, I'm watching just like the girls are watching the comments because they want to see what the people are saying about them, because it's a rush. It's a rush for someone to give you a nice compliment. I'm watching it thinking, oh man, what are they going to say? Are they going to like this one? If they don't like this one, am I done? Is my career of not making any money off videos, is it over? So I definitely felt a little stressed to make good videos. And fortunately, again, I've had some really great girls in the videos, and they have made me popular, and I appreciate that.
You have a commitment to high-quality videos. Everything you do is high quality, so I think you are definitely safe from that perspective. So you tell me that you are not actually that into the disciplinarian side and the scolding side?
That is not my first thing that I would go to. I would always rather enjoy giving a fun, just putting someone over my knee, spanking them, even though it stings, maybe even hurts a little more. But I'd rather do that and a lot of butt rubbing and just have fun, talk during the spank, and maybe tease them a little during the spanking. And obviously they're teasing me back. And I like that kind of spanking where we're in the privacy of just the two of us having a good time. But there are some times when I have enjoyed giving a disciplinary spanking. And those times have always been when I genuinely thought this person deserves a spanking. And usually it's when it's personal. Like it's when it's something that has had something to do with me. Where if it has something to do with me and it's personal, I genuinely enjoy giving this person a good old-fashioned spanking.
Do you ever get into a top space or a dom space?
I think mostly in those different aspects of the video where it's something to do with me, where I think they deserve it, or just something they've done where I do think they deserve the spanking that they've asked for, because basically they're telling me what they did wrong, so they're asking me to discipline them for that infraction. And I think sometimes, you could tell when a lecture is more genuine than another time. Sometimes I'm sure some people will never say this, but sometimes you aren't in the mood. Sometimes you're just not in the mood, and I'm not a disciplinarian, so sometimes I'm just not in the mood to give a disciplinary spanking, but that's what they're asking for. So, I have to get whatever it takes to give them what they want.
Do you have any advice, though, for someone who might not be so good at giving lectures? What advice do you have for someone who wants to be better at giving that scolding or lecturing? How do you make it good?
I think that when you lecture, you should not go off of the top of your head. You should not just start spurting out words. You should always know what you're going to say and go from there. But also do it where you are calm and cool and delivering it like just talking like I'm doing right now. Although sometimes during a spanking, the spankee could set you off of your game. So you have to bring it back. You got to bring it back to where you're in charge and you have to be the one in control. And even on a podcast episode where you're all excited talking about something, you notice yourself speeding up a little and you got to draw it back. So what I do is I'm always thinking of something to say. Because while I'm doing this spanking, there's two people involved here that have to enjoy this spanking. I'm enjoying that I'm giving the spanking. This person is enjoying that they're getting a disciplinary spanking. I don't want to ruin it by saying something dumb. So I always am thinking of what I'm going to say, and I try to keep it calm and cool and collected, but at the same time be firm. But I like to involve the person in the lecture because people, I think, enjoy listening to the woman respond. The people who are doing the responding absolutely love and hate that they have to talk during their spanking. But I think it makes for a better spanking. So I think if you can involve the person in your lecture, keep calm during your lecture, and be firm about it. Don't say stupid shit. And just try to give that person a great time that's getting the spanking. I think that'll make you a better lecturer. But always maintain your composure. And I think the lecture can go pretty good because when you start going a little faster, you start to stumble on your words. And now you have to play catch up. You have to bring that spanking back to good for the person that's getting it.
I think that is excellent advice.
You know, when you're given a spanking, we always say there's two people involved. Both of you have to have a good time during the spanking, even if it's for discipline.
As you know, I've mentioned I love watching your videos, and I've enjoyed them so much that there have been certain partners who I have shown them to as an example of how to give a good spanking, and there was a marked improvement after showing them your videos. Have other people told you that?
They definitely have, and I'm not telling everyone. If you want your significant other or friend or whoever to give a better spanking, to watch my videos. But what I am saying that if you like my style, that's exactly what you should do. Show them a video that you really like, and they should be able to mimic it. You know, everyone has a different style. Find a video that you really identify with, and if you're dealing with someone who's never given a spanking, this is what you should do. Show them a video, because how can someone not watch it and mimic it? Once you find the style, you can make that style your own and kind of enjoy the thing together, where maybe you're getting something out of it that you've learned that you love, but she's always getting the thing out of it, or he's always getting the thing out of it that they love.
I tell people that a lot. At least provides a discussion point, somewhere to start the conversation.
I think that's a great idea, and I'm glad that my videos have helped people spank you the way you need to be spanked.
They definitely have, and I'm grateful for them for multiple reasons. So how long have you been recording your podcast for?
I don't know. I think it's 3 years, maybe. Is it 4? I'm not even sure.
I mean, and how many episodes in are you?
Now I feel like an idiot because I'm going to say 40-ish.
What's the cadence of these podcast episodes coming out? Yours?
Well, when I first started, I just released them whenever I had them. Then sometimes it would be like 2 months. Sometimes it was 3 months. Sometimes it was 2 weeks. So I just decided, because it does take me a while to, I'm not getting paid for this, and I don't do it as a job. So I only edit it a little bit every night sometimes. And I edit a little bit of it at a time. And I want to make it nice. I want everyone to sound good in it. I want the whole thing to sound good because I want people to have a fun experience listening to it. That's why over maybe 3 or 4 years, I only have 40 episodes. 40-ish episodes. I'm not exactly sure.
Yes, 40-ish amazing episodes.
The sound quality has definitely gotten better and better as I've gone along.
Well, I've taken advice from you on sound quality, so you know what you're doing. People can listen to Never Too Old for a Good Spankin' podcast it's anywhere you listen to podcasts, right? You're on all platforms.
I think the only person that doesn't have me, I think it's Apple. Does Apple have me? There's only one that left me off, and I can't remember who it is.
You're on Apple.
Someone left me off. I don't remember who it is, but I guess it's because of the content. I don't know what they don't like about it. So one person did leave me off, but yeah, you could listen anywhere. And if you do and you like it, leave me a little comment down there. Give me a good rating so that people start to see it more. And people have definitely, more and more people have started to listen to it. And the guests have been fantastic. I have had some really good guests on there, including the person I'm being interviewed by right now.
Thank you. And I agree. You have had amazing guests on. Every single episode is great. And I think I've even been in a position where I've messaged you being like, when's the next one coming? You have people hanging, waiting for the next episode to drop. And that's a good place to be.
I think that's awesome. I feel great that people like to listen to it. And again, I always feel great when people tell me that it's helped them. And I always ask that one question: what advice can you give to people having a hard time with this whole Spanko thing? And the answers that the people have given have helped so many people.
It's true. And that's usually my favorite segment of your episodes, but we never really ask it back to you, I don't think. So what is your advice for people who are having a hard time? And because this is the Kink Consultant podcast, not just with spanking, but with kink in general and their interests in that arena, what advice do you have for people who are struggling with it?
It's not going to go away. It's never going to go away. You could try to make it go away. It will not go away. You may think you're suppressing it. You are not. It is never going away. It's going to come back, and eventually you are going to regret not exploring it. So whatever it is, however out there you think it is, I mean, we're into spanking, which is probably, I always say, it's like the vanilla of kink. People actually make fun of us. But to us, it was the weirdest thing in the world. So whatever you're going through is the weirdest thing in the world to you. But there are others out there that are also loving this weird thing that you love. So why not be weird together? Get yourself out there. Get on FetLife. You don't have to deal with the other fetishes. Everyone says, oh, there's all these weird things on there. Well, you don't have to deal with those. I am a Spanko, so most of the people that I attract or that attract me are also Spankos. So those are the feeds that I see all the time. Get on there, find the people that are your people and start talking to them. Put yourself out there. It's not going to be easy. Some people are going to find it simple. They're going to get out there in one day and they're going to find the person that they have been looking for their whole life. You are going to find people. It just might not be as easy for everyone as it is for some, but you got to keep going and don't get discouraged. But you can't suppress it. You're never going to be able to. Get out there, get freaky, and do your thing.
I could not have said that better myself. I think that is phenomenal advice that everyone should take because it isn't going away. And I always tell people there's someone's solution. You know, as weird as they feel, like someone is looking for exactly them in the world. And if they're just hiding and trying to push it down, it's offsetting the balance of life, which is heavy, but true.
Like everyone thinks, oh, you have it so easy, but there are people who turn me down. People turn me down because I am not their cup of tea. And that's fine. You're not going to be everyone's cup of tea. And not everyone's going to be my cup of tea. So if you get turned down by someone, don't go into a deep, dark hole or depression. Get back out there and ride that bicycle again. Because you're going to find your bicycle. It happens for everyone. And, you know, if you suppress this forever and you go get in a vanilla relationship and down the line, now you want to bring this out and you want to spring this on that person that you never talked to about for your entire relationship, you're putting them in a bad spot and you're going to be in a bad spot. So you got to get this stuff out early and don't get caught up in that regret for the rest of your life. You got to get out there and you got to do it.
Damn, that was heavy. But I like it because it is good advice. Solid advice.
Well, thank you.
All right. So if you want to see AGoodSpankin's videos, you can find them on SpankingTube.com and you can search AGoodSpankin. No G at the end, just AGoodSpankin. And you can listen to his podcast, Never Too Old for AGoodSpankin, anywhere you listen to podcasts, except for that one place that rejected him. but all of the major ones have it. All right, well, thank you so much for joining. I hope that we can have you on again in the future as well. This has been a lot of fun.
Thank you very much for having me. Obviously, I was in the mood to talk today.
And I can always count on you to be in the mood to talk. So if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share with anyone who might find it interesting. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like me to cover in the future, reach me at info@thekinkconsultant.com. Until then, keep on kinking on.